I don't just talk about other people's stuff, I also make my own. Books in particular. To date, I have 4 books you can check out on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and the short story collection Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Hop on down to the description for Amazon links to all 4 books. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Omni viewer, and I've got a tip for any aspiring sci-fi storytellers out there. If you find yourself stuck for a premise, just take the words Planet of as your title, put something that sounds cool after that, and work with what you get. If you're talented, you might come up with something like Planet of the Apes. But if you're not sure what you're doing, you might come up with something like Planet of Dinosaurs. Although, that may not be a bad thing. We're not even a minute into the video and you've already lost me. Well then allow me to explain. By all logic, Planet of Dinosaurs is a movie that should have fallen into obscurity, and yet it remains a well-known cult classic to this very day. It's even got a big-budget spiritual successor now. It's only natural to wonder how that happened, and today we shall endeavor to find out.
First and foremost, here's a brief summary of the plot. In the far-flung future, a spaceship suffers a catastrophic engine meltdown in an unknown region of space, and only one escape shuttle is ejected in time. Fortunately, the survivors aboard that shuttle land on a planet similar to Earth. Unfortunately, the planet is specifically similar to prehistoric Earth, including the presence of dinosaurs. Danger is everywhere, resources are limited, and the prospect of rescue is minuscule at best, which means the survivors might have no choice but to make this world their new home, assuming they live that long.
Now that we're all caught up on the plot, let's start picking through the details. Okay, let's not mince words here. Planet of Dinosaurs is a bad movie by any measurement. It has an interesting idea, putting a space-age spin on the Lost World concept, but the actual finished result is not something most people would describe as good filmmaking.
It seems only natural to start with the performances. Now, I don't want to say that anyone here is a bad actor, mind you. Some of them actually have very long and illustrious careers. Emphasis on some.
That being said, it feels like nobody brought their A-game here.
Performances tend to run the gamut from soap opera melodrama to awkward kid who was forced to read his report in front of the class even though he really doesn't want to.
Here, see for yourself.
Did any other shuttlecraft leave the mothership?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to tow it in.
Funny, I don't feel a bit cheerful.
What about all these fruits and berries? I don't think a chicken laid these.
Well, I'll tell you something. It wasn't a streetcar, baby.
The impression I get is that none of the actors really cared about the material, possibly because they weren't getting paid all that much. And that just brings everything else down.
Moments that are meant to be frightening come across as boring, and moments meant to be funny fall flatter than a Stegosaurus's dorsal plates.
Yeah, but can you blame them? Like you said, they hardly got any money for the job, and it's not like the script gives them much to work with. Ain't that the truth? You heard the excerpts earlier, so you know what this movie has for dialogue.
I can only imagine that the acting is stiff and wooden, partly because the dialogue is stiff and wooden, not to mention unnatural. This is a prime example of a movie where nobody talks like an actual human being. If this hadn't come out in the 70s, I would swear the script was AI generated.
The movie gets dragged down in other ways as well.
There are long periods throughout in which the characters are just walking across the landscape. They're not in any danger, nor are they usually moving with a clear goal in mind. It's just walking included to pad out the movie, and it's not all that interesting to watch. Then you have weird things like how the characters will just randomly touch and grab each other in ways that, while not explicitly inappropriate, are awkward and unnatural all the same. It's just a weird detail that's impossible not to notice.
There's no getting around it, folks. Planet of Dinosaurs is a bad movie. But that doesn't mean it's completely devoid of redeeming qualities. as poorly written as the movie is, I still understand what it was going for. On a thematic level, this is a story about survival. No duh, Omni. Now hang on, Snazzy, let's not get too dismissive just yet.
What we have here is a classic story about people from a very developed land finding themselves in a very primitive land and seeing how they survive, if they even can.
You could even say that it provides the most extreme contrast between the survivors and their environment.
The humans in this movie come from a very advanced civilization, one that can travel comfortably across the galaxy, and what little technology they are able to salvage hints at how advanced they are. They have weapons that can kill nearly anything, and food rations that contain every nutrient they need, not to mention they arrive in a shuttle that crashes without injuring any of them. These people now find themselves in a hostile land they are not adjusted to, filled with creatures who render their technology laughably useless. Naturally, their greatest hope is to be rescued, but the longer they remain stranded, the less likely that seems, leaving them with the question of figuring out how to make this world their new home.
At the core of this plot is a power struggle between the characters Lee and Jim.
Lee is intent on maintaining the kind of order from which everyone came until a rescue ship comes, but Jim believes that the best bet everyone has is to settle in for the long haul. Their contrasting viewpoints are reflected by, of all things, their facial hair. Lee has a neatly trimmed mustache and deliberate haircut to make him look like a city boy, while Jim has wild hair and a full beard to make him look more outdoorsy. Now, the way this power struggle plays out isn't the best. In fact, it just kind of peters out by the end, but the ideas are interesting to contemplate all the same.
The musical score also holds historical significance, as it might be the earliest known example of the sub-genre known as dinosynth.
For those who don't know, dinosynth is a type of ambient music made entirely with synthesizers meant to sound reminiscent of the soundtracks from classic dinosaur movies and documentaries. It sounds old-fashioned, hence why album covers usually feature older forms of public domain paleo art.
Well, this movie's entire score was done on a synthesizer, and it contains a lot of the elements that define dinosynth today. Have a listen. This could very well be the prototype for the entire musical genre. It just sounds too similar to my ears to be coincidence. How can we have gotten this far without you mentioning the dinosaurs even once? Let's get to it. How are they? Are they good or bad? Well, right off the bat, I can tell you the dinosaurs are better than the humans, but we need to go case by case with them.
On the one hand, whenever a dinosaur is on screen, the movie instantly becomes more interesting because something other than walking and awkward dialogue and grabbing is taking place. Most of the movie's budget went into the dinosaurs, and it shows.
That being said, much like fossils excavated from the ground, not all of these dinosaurs come out looking that great.
The Stegosaurus has a good design, but it doesn't look like it was properly painted, and its movements are very stiff. This goes doubly for the smaller stegos in the distant group shot, though I guess that's permissible given their purpose. The Centrosaurus looks much better, but I defy you not to laugh when you see it run on those stubby legs. The Brontosaurus looks really good, though it barely moves compared to the other dinosaurs we see. Weirdly, the Polacanthus looks and moves fine despite barely being in the movie at all, as do what I think is an Allosaurus and some Struthiomimus. While barely in the movie, they all turn out much better than they have any right to be. It's clear, though, that most of the effort went into the T-Rex, which is the absolute best of the whole bunch.
Obviously, since he's the main antagonist of the film, he has to look good, so a lot of care was put into making him stand out from every other dinosaur.
He's got fluid movement, great detail, vibrant colors, comparatively speaking, and a design that stands out among other cinematic Rexes while still being recognizable. Honestly, I think he deserves more attention than he usually gets among film buffs. Oh, and the Rhedosaurus shows up.
Yes, for real, officially, that is a Rhedosaurus, as seen in The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth. Ray Harryhausen even gave his blessing when he visited the set.
That said, though, it's not the most dignified cameo, seeing as how the Rex kills him in one bite.
Getting back to proper analysis, not only is the stop motion good, but the dinosaurs are integrated into the scenery way better than you'd expect from a low-budget film.
Just look at these shots. We may not have anything on par with cowboys lassoing Guanji, but it still looks like the dinosaurs are in the same environment as the people. It's plain to see why this is the main thing everyone praises about the film.
The locations, of course, must also be mentioned.
Some of you might recognize the terrain as the Vasquez Rocks, as many sci-fi movies and shows use these unusual formations to depict alien planets. Here, the landscape is an appropriate mix of alien and Mesozoic, thus making it the best possible setting for the film.
As you can see, Planet of Dinosaurs has a lot of memorable elements to it, and not all of them are memorable for bad reasons. There is some genuine artistry on display here, once you get through all the campiness. Okay, so having gone through all of that now, can you explain how this movie stuck around for so long? I mean, it didn't even have a theatrical release, yet it seems like everybody knows it. Well, old friend, I see it this way.
On the one hand, there are a lot of bad and weird elements to Planet of Dinosaurs, but those elements are the kind of bad that's fascinating to watch. It just runs so contrary to what we expect from good filmmaking that we cannot look away, and after a while, it even becomes funny. At the same time, the good elements are genuinely good. Some of those elements, like the dinosaurs, are obvious, but others, such as the themes or the historical impact, are things you have to dig for to find. Once you get to them, though, they're interesting in their own right. In short, the good elements and bad elements come together in such a way that the movie lands in that sweet spot of so bad it's good, while also having elements that are genuinely good.
Planet of the Dinosaurs is not high art. But then again, it doesn't need to be high art in order to be entertaining, and there's no denying that it is entertaining for both the right and wrong reasons. And that, I feel, is why it remains a cult classic to this very day. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. Hold on, you're really ending it now? You didn't mention the giant spider scene. Yeah, and I never will. Giant spiders give me the creeps. You big chicken. Big talk from the lizard who can't watch SpongeBob because he's afraid of starfish. Touché.
Congratulations, you reached the end. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to consider supporting us on Patreon. Of course, the other way to support us is to go to Amazon and check out our books, Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Also check the description for links to DeviantArt and other platforms we operate. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.